Hey guys, welcome back to the Physio Bros. Today we're going to be telling you everything you need to know about glute strengthening. Now there's a lot of information out there on social media, so today we wanted to be the one point of reference for you so you can strengthen and optimize your glute strength properly.
So today what we're going to be doing is splitting this off into 5 different categories. We're going to be doing a squat, a hinge, a bridge, a step, and then also some accessory movements as well. Now, for all of these different categories, we're going to provide you different levels so that you can progress and target the glute exercise to whatever level you're at. So without further ado, let's rip straight in.
So guys, the first cab off the rank, the first glute exercise that I always love to introduce is a variation of a step up. So to get started, we're going to do a front step up, which JB is going to demonstrate just here for us. Now, as you can see, he's using a wall to get started. The other thing that you can do to make it a bit of a regression is you can do it from a reduced step height. One of the things that we can do with this is always we can add resistance as well with our step ups. So adding in with dumbbells, you can hold it just down by your side, or if you have the space for it, you can also use a barbell. Now we know based on research that this is one of the best exercises to really activate your glute max. The second variation of a step up is a sideward step up, so stepping up to the side. My preference is to start up on top of the step and then you're going to lower yourself down, touching the ground with your heel as you go. So you're really focusing on the slow control as you come back down. Now JB started with a bit of a progression because we've kept the weights in his hands, but of course you can start this without any resistance. The slower you go, the more controlled, the better. Now this exercise has been shown to really help activate through your glute med. Now this is going to be something really important because when we perform glute strengthening, it's not just about activating your glute max, but also about targeting your other muscles as well, including your glute med. So they're the 2 best variations of a step up to perform to help activate and really target your glutes.
And then lastly, if you did want to progress the step ups more, but you're worried about balance using a barbell on your back, you can actually use a Smith's machine if you've got access to one at the gym. And this is a really good way to be kind of locked in and to be secure, but challenge yourself with a heavier weight. So you can also give that one a try. Now, this is one of the most important exercises for glute strengthening, and it's your bread and butter exercise. So we're going to go through the different variations that you can do, starting from the easiest and then progressing up to the hardest. So if you look at DB now, the easiest setup is just going to be standing at a kitchen bench, at a chair, something you can hold onto for some support, and then just going through your range. Now, it might be half range, it might be full range, down to the floor parallel. Just having something to hold on to can make it a lot easier. Now from here, you're then going to get rid of the arm support. So this is just your regular bodyweight squat. Again, it depends on the depth, but you can go starting off trying to get your thighs parallel to the floor. This could progress even more if you'd like by elevating your heels, and then you can get deeper through the range. So covering your whole thigh over your calf, as is demonstrating that now. From here, you've pretty much got a full range body weight range of motion squat. So from here, this is where we've got to think about adding resistance. So the easiest way of adding resistance to start off with can be using dumbbells. So this can just be holding it across your chest, cross over, it can just be dangling it by your side. It doesn't really matter as long as you're comfortable. And from here, you're working through range. Now, it depends on what access you have and what you've got available to you, because if you're trying to develop strength, the best way of developing strength is lower reps. So targeting around that 4 to 6 mark for pure strength gains. But in order to do that, you need to have weight available. So DB is not going to hit his 4 to 6 rep max holding 4 kilo dumbbells. This is where you essentially need gym equipment. So you need barbells to be able to weight yourself up to actually hit that target range appropriately. You've got to think about, if you don't have gym equipment, how you can challenge yourself with lower weights. So the first one, an easy one, is then to make it from a double leg exercise into a single leg exercise. So using weights, DB might battle through this one a bit, but you can use weights to counterbalance yourself if you're starting off early, or you can hold on to something as well. So if DB drops the weights after this rep, you might have to swap legs as well, but he can hold on to a chair or something probably a bit more sturdy and work through that range using his arms. Now, you don't have to get full range through this. Again, it's a progressive overload. So you might be starting through half range and then working through. Another example is doing, I'm gonna stack it on the weights, is doing some sit to stands, single leg from a chair. Now this is really good again for knee control. All right, so our last exercise in the squat component is a great one to isolate single legs, and it's the Bulgarian split squat, and DB is gonna run you through this one.
It's gonna lift your right leg or your other leg back up onto the chair. and you're just lowering down through range. Now, obviously, to allow for strengthening, you can start with body weight if you're just new to this exercise, but then ultimately what we want to do is add resistance. So you can get creative with what resistance there is. If you have access to a gym, then fantastic. You can either use dumbbells or you can even use a barbell as well to perform this for strengthening.
Now, you may have been told by a physio before that your glutes aren't firing or they're completely switched off and they don't work properly. But this is actually a myth. Because if your glutes weren't firing properly, you wouldn't be able to walk, you wouldn't be able to stand up, and you'd probably have some neurological damage or nerve damage that would actually cause your glutes to switch off. So when we talk about it through this video, if we say that your glutes aren't working properly or if we're wanting to strengthen them, that's the goal of these exercises. It's to be able to target your glutes specifically and strengthen their capacity to work through a range of motion. So if you have heard this from a physio before, make sure you let us know down in the comments and tell us out of these exercises which one makes you absolutely burn the most.
So guys, the next form of strengthening for your glutes is a hinge type movement. Now obviously you've got your exercises like a deadlift or your RDLs. To start off, we're going to start demonstrating a standard deadlift. As you do this, feet are shoulder width apart, you're keeping the bar nice and close to your body as you go and work through your comfortable range. Now in terms of strengthening, if you're just getting into deadlifts, then you're better off starting a bit lighter, 3 lots of 10. Really work on being comfortable as you go. You want to avoid over activation, overarching through your lower back, which JB is demonstrating just there. So as you do it, you want to maintain that nice neutral spine, move with a comfortable weight to get started. You can always increase weight as you go. The next variation of an exercise is a double leg RDL. So starting in a similar setup with your feet shoulder width apart, you're just working on both your glutes and your hamstrings in this exercise. Similar principle, keeping the bar nice and close to your legs as it comes down. You're maintaining much more of a neutral spine with this exercise once again, so you don't want to be arching too much.
And for this one in particular, most of the movement's coming from your hips, so you're actually hinging a lot more. You'll actually feel your hamstrings really tear at the bottom of the rep, and then you're pulling up and squeezing your glutes at the top, rather than with the conventional deadlift, a lot more movement in your knees. So trying to maximize the movement in your hips and minimize the movement in your knees for this particular one.
And the next exercise is going to be a single leg RDL, which JB is going to demonstrate with the equivalent of a barbell as we go through there. So single leg offset RDL, this is a great exercise just to help bias one leg at a time. Really important to find if you feel symmetry or similar strength on both sides as you perform this exercise. Which leads us into our next exercise, which is going to be the arabesque. Now, the arabesque is a great variation for both glute and hamstring strengthening. Once again, it's a posterior chain exercise. As JB is wonderfully demonstrating here, you're dropping the weight down with one arm. And now this is something that you really feel on, in this demonstration, on his left leg, really activating through his glutes and his hamstrings as he goes here. I also love it, it's a great proprioceptive exercise, so any of these single leg variations are fantastic.
And you're going to see how my leg shakes as I'm doing it, because it's a really good control exercise for that stance leg.
So guys, while you're getting comfortable with these hinge-based movements, keep the resistance on the lighter side so you're comfortable with these exercises. Now, a really basic strength principle is as you get stronger and you're increasing the weight, aiming for about 5 reps and 5 sets for these exercises and adjusting the weight appropriate to that amount. But until then, start with 3 lots of 10, keep it light, get comfortable before progressing too quickly.
So the next lot of exercises that we want you to choose from is our bridging category. Now there's 3 main ones here. The first one is your double leg bridge. The really important part with the bridge is having your feet flat on the ground and pushing equally through your feet. If you put your weight just through your heels, it's going to bias your hamstrings, which isn't what we want for the time being. So he's pushing through the ground, he's lifting his hips up, and then at the top he's going to squeeze for 3 to 5 seconds and hold. Now this is a really good way to get an awesome glute burn. To make this slightly more challenging, he can add a band as well, because the glutes are great at being hip extensors, but they also work for external rotation. So if he puts a band around his upper thighs, a little bit of external rotation resistance, so pushing his knees out, and then works through the range, this can be a great way to target both glute max and glute med in this particular exercise. So from here, we're going to get rid of the band and we're going to move on to our single leg bridging, which is our next progression. So he's going to lie back down, one of his legs is going to be up in the air, and then he's going to be pushing through the single leg and working through that range. Again, same principles, if you can squeeze at the top, that's excellent to do. to get that lasting burn and a bit of an isometric hold in there too. Now the last progression is best done at the gym with a barbell or a Smith's machine. So getting some weight and trying to work really into that strength capacity of your glutes. So higher weight, lower reps, aiming for that 4 to 6 repetition range. So you're holding the weight across your hips at the front. Now you can use towels or sometimes even foam to make it a bit more comfortable. And it's the exact same movement of the bridge, pushing through your feet, driving into the ground and lifting up your hips up into the air and holding. Now these, adding a bridge exercise is essential to your glute strengthening program.
Hey there, look at you guys staying to the end of the video. Good for you. The next exercise is going to be the glute accessory exercises, or the paint me like a French girl. Now to start off, we're going to do the more conventional clam exercise. Now this one is very low load and a fantastic way to get you back to targeting your glutes. Now this is really important for people who are coming back from injury or potentially can't do the more dynamic exercises like we've already performed. If you find yourself compensating, you're rolling back through your hips as you do this, then this is not ideal for adequate glute control and exercise. So we're going to compensate, or we're going to make up for that by lying against a wall, which is going to avoid you from over rotating and dropping back. Now if that's getting too easy, then we're just going to shift away from the wall and we're going to add a resistance band around our knees. And this is a great variation to get you starting to do with these exercises, or a clam with resistance. So aiming for about 3 lots of 10, really ample way of targeting your glutes. And a good progression from this is now to go from a lying position into standing. We always drop the band around our ankles. There's a bit of research out there to say that this is going to help really target your glutes more so, and it's going to help reduce the amount of activation that you get through other muscles like your TFL, for example. The first one is a crab walk, so going down into a quarter squat or a half squat position, and you're aiming to move from side to side as we go. Now you can always increase the resistance as it gets easier, or try and step out further. And then another variation is a monster walk, where we're starting in a similar half squat, quarter squat position, and we're trying to move out to the side as we go, without dropping or coming too far up. Then another variation of an accessory muscle exercise is the side plank. Now there's some good research out there that doing a side plank is a great way for strengthening up for your glute med. It's low load, but it's going to really target your glute as you're working. Now if this is getting easy, then we can start adding in variations to the exercise, like a leg lift using your other leg. So we're going to be getting glute activation through both sides while we're doing this progression. If this is getting easy, once again, you can add in resistance, but for me, this is probably good enough for now.
There you go, guys. There's the 5 categories of exercise for glute bulletproofing. You've got the squat, you've got the hinge, you've got the step, the bridge, and accessory movements. So pick a couple from each and give it a red hot crack. If you've liked the video, make sure you share it around, subscribe, please join the Physio Bros team because we've got plenty more of good content to come, and we'll see you in the next video.